I read an article about the New Yorker. J.D. Salinger explained a lot of things that went wrong with people and how their traits were kind of messed up. Do you believe that Salinger made the novel in order to show off his intellect?
I don't think so. I never think an author, they don't necessarily want to show off their intellect. I think for a lot of times authors are just trying to explain something in a way that connects with people. And I think that's what he's trying to do through this novel, is trying to connect with the ordinary person.
Okay. Would you say that everyone could relate to Holden as they read? For instance, when I read the book, I felt that I could relate to Holden because of the problems he went through as a teen. So, do you think you could relate?
I think a lot of teenagers can relate to it. I think we see a lot of what private school kids get, and he kind of leaves that idea too and runs off on his own. So I think we all have that same type of feeling of, at times we want to run off and be our own person. So I think that's why a lot of people can relate with Holden.
After reading the book, in the book, Holden kind of points out all the people that he quotes as phonies. He judges people a lot and kind of misinterprets them. Do you feel that after reading the book, you started to find more things wrong with the people around you?
I think I actually had the opposite. I realized how judging I was, how I was kind of on the same side as him. So I didn't really start to judge people. I started to try not to judge people as much.
Would you say that Holden changed the views of your peers, kind of relating back to the question before?
It just made me not try to judge them as much and try not to be as harsh as he was in the book.
And if you can remember, Holden, he knows a lot about the people he meets in the novel. But he also fails school. So would you consider Holden more intellectual or insightful?
I think he's more insightful. He's not very book smart. That's why he doesn't do well in school. So he's very good at observing things going on around him. That's how he survives.
Okay. And then I read an article about the Washington Post, so the question now is, do you remember Holden being just as phony as the people he criticized?
I think at times he really was. At other times I could understand where he was coming from. So I think it's just like everyone else. Like, you're going to have your phony moments and you're going to have your real moments. So.
And then here's some questions straight from the Washington Post. Why is a book about a spoiled rich kid out of a fancy prep school so widely read by ordinary Americans, the overwhelming majority of whom have limited means and attended public schools?
I think it's just because we have been introduced to it so much in society that we can understand where private school kids come from. And in another sense, it makes the public school kids feel as if they're getting accomplished because they never had this desire to run away, or they didn't. They were able to stick through it. So it just shows that even the upper class can be just as ordinary as normal people.
Okay. Why is Holden Caulfield nearly universally seen as a symbol of purity and sensitivity when he is merely self-regarding and callow?
I think it's just because he's true to himself. He doesn't hide anything back. He says what he wants to, and he says what he thinks. So in a sense, that's pure because he's not hiding anything. He's being the most pure self he can be, and he's that shallow and mean to other people. That's just how it's going to be seen.
Okay. And would you agree with that the author put in Holden's younger brother that died to give readers a reason to like the book? Many people did not like the book.
I think it might be, but for any reason the author decided to put it in. So it was important to him, and for a lot of authors it may not be just to please the reader. So I think it just has an important part of the book that he thought was necessary.
Okay. So when people read The Catcher in the Rye in high school, they find that they relate to Holden, and they can also see themselves becoming more of a man because they read the book. How has Holden affected your life? And be as specific as possible.
For me, it just made me see that I need to be less of a judging person, and it made me see things from more of an outside angle. And you're able to see, I don't want these qualities in someone else. Why would I ever want them in myself? It just makes you think about who you are as a person and where you want to go.
Okay. And then I read an article from the New York Times, and here's some questions I came up from reading it. What symbol do you remember most from reading the book, and why is it so important to you? For instance, he had a hunting hat that he always put on. His younger brother could be taken as a symbol, as his past. Just anything you can remember.
I think for me, the younger brother has definitely become the symbol that I've been able to connect to, just because I've kind of had to go through that myself. So, in my own life, that's kind of been my symbol, is holding on to my past. So.
Yeah. Did you like reading the book? If not, why? And if so, why?
I did. I actually did enjoy the book. It's one of the few required Regis books that I enjoyed. I was just able to connect with him, and it wasn't those books where I got bored of reading, and for me that was awesome.
And then, did you feel mood swings from all the controversial topics, such as change in teens?
No, I just loved those topics. It didn't really make me have any mood swings, but it made the book a lot more interesting and relatable to myself.
Did reading the novel affect the way you deal with change?
I don't think it necessarily changed the way I dealt with change. I think it gave me something to look at of how you can deal with change, but for myself it really didn't affect my thought process too much.
And then my last question, what has the book done to the world globally? Think about the influence of South Park, if you've ever seen that episode. How you hear stories of people almost wanting to kill other people after reading the book.
I think it gives people a different way of thinking about society, and especially at such a young, vulnerable age. So of course people are going to get upset about it. And the way people deal with it, for me, I didn't feel that strongly, but I could see how other people would want to. It just depends on your upbringing, I suppose.
All right. And thank you so much for doing this interview.
No problem.